Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is a lot of chickens. I mean, this is FTB's StoneBlock 3. Alright, today we're going to be doing a whole lot of different things, including a little bit of Ars. We might be doing a little bit of thermal, a little bit of immersive. I don't know, we're going to just touch base on a whole lot of stuff. So to catch you up, yes, I've got pretty much all the chickens done except for a few just like dye chickens that are different colors, which I imagine I can fit them in here at the end. I've got a lot of resources being made, and yeah, some of you said in the comments that stacking chickens actually works really well for resources, not necessarily for breeding. They actually will produce in stacks. So if you have one chicken producing 3 diamonds at a time, you put 2 chickens in there, you'll get the same speed, and it'll produce 6 diamonds at a time. So doubling. It's pretty efficient. I also updated my Blazing Blood spawner setup a little bit. Instead of just having one, I opted to have 3, because having just one all the time and only placing it when it was ready, it was burning up more fuel than it was making. So I ended up running out of Blazing Blood at one point because of that. So I had to set it up so that it would only do it when I had a good quantity backed up. So to give an example, I have currently, I know I've got some in the breeding spots here. This actually doesn't make a difference having them there, but this is just like my backup emergency stock now. I've got them also in the system, but you see how this is full. This one here is almost halfway, and then this last one here is getting there as well. They're just breeding over time. I've got my automatic seed producer, which isn't producing fast enough, actually. It's pretty much empty and converted everything, so the seeds you're seeing there, I probably need to increase the seed capacity if I were to have this continuing on, but honestly I feel I'm going to have enough as it is. So what I did is I put a stockpile switch on this breeder, but only after finding out that yes, having 3 deployers here just hooked up one to the other, they will also place the chickens all together at the same time, which is actually kind of cool. I'll explain. I'll come back to the stockpile switch in a second. I feel I should mention that the encased chain drive that I use instead of the cogs is actually a little bit better, because underneath here, you can't really see it because of the water that's in place, but I have a different kind of encased chain drive, one that accepts a redstone signal. This one here, the adjustable chain gear shift, and having that connected to a power source will actually double the speed of the other connected encased chain drives, assuming that there's a redstone signal given to it, which I have currently between this water wheel and that water wheel. I have a lever that is currently on, that it's not being washed away because the water is flowing downwards past it, but it's doubling the output. And that's why I doubled the water wheels, because it was actually more stress than a single water wheel could handle, and I can't go that way underneath where I've got that one. So this, of course, clutch is just my on-off if I really want to turn this entire contraption off, and it is currently not even on. It's being kept off by this stockpile switch, which says this is the current quantity of items in the attached inventory, which you can't see it, but it's determined by when it's already facing something, by where the filter is. So if you can read it normally, that's the block that it's on. So it's looking in this block, which is this breeder, for how full this output is. Now, there is some problems with that, and that is that I don't know if it counts seeds. So let's take a look here. It is currently at what looks like 96%. We'll put that in there. Yeah, it did move it up a little bit. So yeah, seeds are definitely going to be a factor. It goes with total fullness of the block, and that could be an issue with the seeds, but in this case it's going to wait until all the seeds are filled in this one as well. So once it reaches 100% capacity, yes, I can scroll this down a little bit. Right now it's at 96. So once it reaches over 96 capacity, it will then say, oh, okay, I'm going to turn this contraption on by turning this redstone signal off, which you can invert it on and off like that if you so desire. I just kind of switched it off and on again, you know, so you can have it either turn a redstone signal on or off, depending on how you want. And then once it gets down below a certain point, 48% of this, then it will say, okay, I'm going to switch the signal to the opposite. And because of the fact that I've got these all hooked up with pipes, strangely I found that it will take into these deployers this one first. So it'll empty out all these ones first. Then it'll empty out those ones. Then it'll empty out these ones. So that actually works to my advantage in this case. Instead of taking all of them equally, because I did not separate the pipes, which I could have, but I'm glad I didn't, because then I just need to have a stockpile switch on one of them, and it all works really nicely. So if I take some of these chimkins out of this one here, and I put some in here, I can't put them in there because it needs to be filled. Oh, well, I've made mistakes. But once that one fills up, it automatically starts. But it'll automatically turn itself on and off as needed. And with that new seed thing as well, donating to it needing to be 96% or more, it'll also wait for the seeds to be populated enough. So that's also a good thing. It's not just going to constantly keep trying to breed them and fail. But you can see that this is currently filling up so much that I had to start filling up the back ones as well. It's doing good things. So I have more blazing blood than I think I'll probably need for this entire playthrough at this point, but I do have plenty. On top of that, I've been working on this, and I know that sometimes people get a little confused with the Wand of the Forest. I will give a little bit of help here with, or at least what I think is going to be helpful, on how you can potentially aim one of these things when you start getting into areas that it's a little bit difficult to reach. So let me start off by taking this and making a couple more of these mana pools. There we go. Putting them down here and here. And I currently have my Wand of the Forest. If it's in bind mode, just by sneak right clicking, you can change it to function or bind mode. Going into bind mode, if I sneak right click on this, it'll say, this is what I've selected. Where do you want it aimed? And I'll say, I want it to go over here. And it'll say, okay, I'm aiming at that. But if you notice the little dots, they're actually aiming in this pool and not that one. It doesn't quite make it because it just aims for the same spot, like a middle point of the pool. With this, you need to switch to function mode. Then you'll need to sneak right click constantly just by holding the button down. You can kind of aim where it's, you watch the little laser beams, you can see I'm aiming like to the left, aiming to the right. So it kind of just follows where you're going. So I'm holding sneak this entire time, and once you've got the right mana pool highlighted, then it'll start working. And that's how you can start aiming these when they're getting a little bit tricky on trying to get them to hit the destination you want, whether it be a mana pool or one of these runic altars or something like that. And you can continue on with harvesting things. So that's just a little tip for people that might not know about it or how to use it, because it's not exactly easy to explain in a book, I have to say. Another thing, over here by the mob farm, somebody mentioned in the comments an extremely fantastic thing. You notice how quiet it is? I mean, you can hear things here. You can hear some of them landing and maybe some wolf growls or something like that. Well, if you open up your inventory and you go to the muffler, you can actually set, that's what these numbers are, you can set a radius for certain sounds to be muted. In this case, I've got a radius of 4 blocks, and it's got several things. You can edit the anchor, you can change it, and so on. You can set the anchor, and you can choose all the different sounds to mute in a 4-block radius around that spot. It's fantastic. I didn't even know that the mod had that to offer. Thank you so much. And then there you go. It's a much quieter mob farm than it once was. I can't say that is just really fantastic there. And oh, that reminds me, I have a little something extra from the mob farm. I found a zombie villager, and so I decided I needed a villager area. So I decided to take this, turn it into another room. Down below, we've got a little setup for some villagers. Expandable, of course. I can just keep going that way. I also have a back room area for breeding villagers, so I think that that'll be a good thing as well. But for now, let's start with one, and I'm going to need a splash potion of weakness. Get weakened, and then they are going to start doing the shiver, which it'll take them a bit before they end up fixing the, oh yeah, it looks like 4.5 minutes before they the potion effect wears off. And I think I'm only affected by weakness for, what, a minute and a half? Oh yeah, just 30 seconds now. And I've got my mob imprisonment tool that I got from a quest reward for now. So it's nothing that I'm able to craft yet because I don't have access to plastic. But if I find another one in here, then I can use my axe instead of my sword to thin out the mobs, and then I don't even need to throw this thing. I just need to right-click on the mob, and I can grab them, you know, just like that. Okay, we're getting close to the end of it here. So I put another roost with you know, pipes behind here connecting to a charging station that I made. They're really basic items made with just some gems and ingots, so that I could charge up the exchanging gadget I was awarded as a quest reward. But you can make them easy enough as well. And then I used it on like the ceiling in here or something like that. But that can be really nice. I'm curious if it'll work on spawners. But for now, I just know that it's there, I have it, and I can charge things up whenever I need it now. So I kind of figured we might start off with a little bit of light Ars Nouveau, and that involves making a worn notebook. That shouldn't be too difficult at all, because I've got both books and lapis in my system. There we go. And bam, I now have my instruction book for how to start. Getting started, well, I already know that we're going to need a book. Another book. Specifically, we're going to start off with the novice spell book, which is going to require all these different tools to be made or used. There we go. I now have one novice spell book. Wasn't too bad. And I think, can I actually just straight up make a mage's version? Just need some kind of quartz blaze powder. Yeah, I think I can. Which this is just going to give you more accesses, more powerful everything. It's just better to have the better version. And I don't have access to the Archmage spell because there's no recipe to craft another star, and I have not fought one yet either. But either way, I at least have the one for in there. If somebody knows what the keybind combination is to completely clear this setup with like one or two clicks, please let me know. I can never remember what it is. But I know that there is a way to do so, and it's not this. This is the craft a stack down here. But yeah. All right, pressing C as the hotkey, I now have options of using something like projectile, self, or touch, and break or harm. In this case, projectile, break would be perfect for, let's set this one break and create. There we go. Number 2, we can then do projectile, harm. And we're calling this one Magic Missile. Perfect. So I've got 2 spells now. 1 and 2 are now different options. Number 2 being a magic missile, and then number 1 being a break, which I think will work on spawners. So by pressing the letter V, you then get this HUD where you can choose each one. And in this case, I'm going to go with break. And I figure we can give it a go with some mobs down here and see if we can just try things out. I mean, I don't have a regen effect or strength or anything like that, but I might be able to just straight up use this spellbook to break some spawners. Let's give it a try. Okay, there it is right there. And it didn't seem to hit it. Oh, wow. Yeah, it did. It destroyed the spawner. 1 hit. Oh my gosh, the amount of pain and suffering that I experienced in previous ones. Look, there's another spawner. Oh my gosh, that's just too good. And then I can always just use this to kill other things like evil silverfish, for example. I'm kind of feeling the itch for industry right now. We're going to try and start working towards some thermal, I think, like a pyrolyzer. That requires nether bricks. I don't think I actually have netherrack. That would imply that I might need to get really far out into the overworld, unless I can make it from something. Aha! Okay, well I can make nether bricks from regular bricks being haunted. There we go, I now have enough. Next I need to make some contantan gears, and I figure the best way to do that's going to be with just some ingots. I've got a bunch of brass already being made in here, but I could probably put some in there. There we go. I now have the 2 constantan gears I need, and I might as well just put the rest of this stuff in the system for now. Looking at the rest of this recipe, it should be fairly straightforward at this point because I have glass chickens, iron chickens, and tin chickens. I just need the tin gear in order to get myself going on that. Then I can make the machine frame that I need. From there I can make the redstone flux coil as well, and I now have my Pyrolyzer, which will convert coal into coal coke. Now, where exactly I'm going to have this huge setup, I don't know, because I want this area to be like for the larger machine that we're going to be needing here, the refinery. I can always move these things again later on. For now, I'm just going to set it up against the wall, because I don't know what the setup's going to look like just yet. I'm also going to need some power for this Pyrolyzer. It doesn't just run by itself, you know, it's got its own power system in here. Looks like max use 5 RF per that's pretty low. It's not exactly upgraded either, but I can definitely afford that because I was planning on using a Dynamo from Thermal as well in the form of a Lapidary one, which these use different gems. And if you look, you get a lot of power out of diamonds. So much so that I think it could probably power all of my thermal machines. But first, let's just make some. Now we have one Lapidary Dynamo. I'm going to make some energy pipe from pipes and probably use some of that to start with. Might as well just make a little bit of a bank here to work with. Let's move this Pyrolyzer over, and it can just go like that for the moment. And then add a piece of item pipe here that isn't going to connect just yet because this doesn't have its connections set up for it. This is the back panel, so we could have an input on that side, and then it should connect. Yep, there we go. And I can put down one of these roosts up on top of it, just like that. Then I can put a coal chicken in there, and it will instantly start creating coal, which I don't need more than one chicken in there at a time. And this should have auto input options, but you need to enable it for it to actually start taking those things in. It also helps if I have the wrench here going on with this. There we go. Yep, we're now getting coal, but it needs power to start. So we're going to need to get some in here. For that to happen, I have a diamond chicken. And in fact, again, I'm just going to be setting these things down temporarily until I can figure out a good setup for it. But I'm going to have the chicken going in there, grabbing my wrench. I can then do this, and it should, yep, instantly start making the power. And it's making maximum of 40 RF per tick, and this only uses 5, so I think we're doing all right so far. So it would seem that the power from the energy pipes does not connect, or I'm confused, or do I need to actually, I need to do that as well. Okay, there we go. So that seems to be working just fine, and it is now processing the coal into coal coke. Now this is a slow process. It will also have a liquid runoff here from it, most likely of an immersive engineering creosote oil in this case, and we're probably going to get a chance of getting some tar as well, which can also be used as like an alternate fuel, but I think I'm probably just going to store it in a different output. The creosote oil can be useful for making treated sticks and woods, which are actually really pretty wood variants, plus they're fire resistant, but I'm going to have to figure out how to store that in the meantime. I just noticed that there was a singularity tank, which also holds 32 and can be used in a jumbo tank, which holds 1,024 buckets. That sounds more like what I'm looking for, actually. Sorry, RF tools. So we'll start off with the singularity tank. I'll need 4 of those. Then I can go with the jumbo tank, and you make 1 of those. And that should be basic enough to have, heck, I could just put it next to it and have it output to the right any kind of liquids. So next time that this cycle actually finishes, any creosote oil produced will automatically push into the neighboring spot, or at least it should. So we'll grab that, and as usual, we'll do this. Yep, there we go. Now it's working. So it's automatically inputting. Oh, I didn't have it automatically outputting. That was the problem. So if let me try this again. Oh, and it keeps the contents. That's pretty handy. So if I do auto output, it should automatically have the creosote. Yep, there we go. I forgot to turn on the auto output, but either way works, really. Okay, so we have our first step being made. Coal coke, which it is thermal series, but it should work just fine for what we're trying to do. Because through the powers of thermal induction, or an induction smelter, we can then make steel, which is going to be useful for making the tool that we need. Which implies that we need another machine, the induction smelter. Looks like I will need some invar as well as a blast furnace. Okay, and a machine frame, I got those, good to go. And thanks to our alloy kiln, I now have enough Invar, which it's just made things infinitely simpler. I'm so glad that's been added into immersive engineering. And one induction smelter. Nice. So I don't have a teleporter over here yet. I might put one down. I don't know yet. We'll see about that. But if I put this right next to it, it should also have an option of outputting to the left. And then I could also have iron being input as well. Let's make an auto crafter because I've got some power to spare right now. So let's connect it on the side then. That should work just fine. The roost won't need power, thankfully. There's that. I can change this from the bottom and have it input from the left as well. Then I could have the iron chicken in here, the nuggets going in here. Apply. Oops, I didn't have it set. There we go. Now I click apply, and it's getting powered as well, and it's already making ingots. Great. Then I can have this auto input, and next time one of these are made, yep, there we go. The iron comes in and it starts making steel. Let's do some augments because these things are all running really slow. There we go. We want components, integral components. Yes, these are the things that are really going to upgrade it. Hardened is Invar. Reinforced, that's Electrum. And Signalum, which I think we can make that as well, which is copper, silver, and redstone. Okay. And how about resonant? That's Enderium. This might actually be a process, and I think it'd be worthwhile to make a lot of these for any thermal machines in the future. But not worth automating because we're probably not going to have, you know, like hundreds of thermal machines or anything like that. We'll probably have like maybe a dozen at the most, maybe 2 dozen. So already we've got a decent amount of the first alloy that we're going to need, and that's going to be Invar for these ones. Okay, I have 22 made of these currently, and I feel that that's a good starting point. So reinforced ones, those are going to require Electrum and Signalum. Electrum is made from silver and gold, which I think I can actually make that in another alloy kiln. Oh, I heard some chickens. Oh, looks like the machine's automatically going by itself now. It has reached that maximum point where I think, yep, this was maxed out, so it's just going to keep sacrificing these in a short period of time, large quantities to get a whole bunch. I love that it works by itself now. So Constantan is a little bit trickier. A blend is one way of doing it, which I'm not sure. Can we crush? Yeah, we can crush this stuff, so that shouldn't be too bad. So what I'm going to do here is toss in 3 stacks of copper and a stack of silver to get ground up in here. Then I just need to grab a bunch of redstone because then it's 4 to 1 redstone to silver. And this will get me, I think, like 4 stacks or something like that for what I've got going on here. Pow, I can now make a stack. Can I make any more? I can make multiple stacks. Oh, that's great. And then I can also blast these things. I can then furnace them, which actually blasting them is ridiculously crazy in a netherite furnace. But this has an augment of a blast furnace, by the way, so it's even faster with blastable items. But there, I've already got 2 stacks of that, and these ones are just about done with the first stack. 8 reinforced components, that's good for now. And now the resonant ones. I don't know if I can make those yet or not. That requires lead, diamond dust, ender dust. That's just ender pearls being ground up. Okay, I think I can make this. But it will require special glasses, like hardened glass, which is made in an induction smelter with nether quartz, obsidian, and sand. Or better yet, I just make another one and use that one. You can start seeing it's going to be getting a little bit messy from here. But if I put these 3 ingredients, sand, nether quartz, and obsidian in here, it should work just fine. How are we doing for power? It looks like it's draining, so I'm going to need to increase the augment on here with, let's put in one of these for now. And that should increase the output. Yep, 120. So we're doing a lot more power output, and it's going back up. Nice. And there we have it, all the ingredients I should need in order to make the Enderium blend, which makes me, how many stacks? Is that all? Yep, there we go. 2 stacks of Enderium blend. there's all the ingredients for that. I should be able to make aluminum blend now, and I think I can make 4 stacks of it even. That's... oh, and I don't need to put all of those in there. Let's do the same as before, where I just smelt a bunch of these up. Adding aluminum to the system, I then can make the aluminum gears that I should need. Let's make a few of those. Turn them all into resonant ones, because I think I should be able to at this point. Yes. That makes 8. Excellent. So now I can put 1 in each of these. And we'll see how things hold up now. So this is using 80. This is using 80. That's using 20. So that's 180 being used. Plus this, I have no idea. And this is producing 160. So until everything's full up, it's going to look like we're running out on some of these, but I think that we're okay. Especially since I don't need that much hardened glass. This is just like I need it for something else. So we've got way more than we need. It's just we're not producing the coal fast enough. Ooh, and I've got tar. I forgot about that. Let's put this down below, a compacting drawer, just for tar. And I don't think that it actually will compact. Oh, it does. I'm surprised. Will it compact any further? No, just the one. Okay, well that's fine. And then we can look at the config. We can have it output below as well. And it should only output tar down below this, because that's the only thing it can go in that container. And now I can put one of these down here. I can take out some of these steel ingots, put them in this spot, and I can have this output below, which it will auto output enabled. There we go. You can now see we have plenty of steel being made, and it's automatically crafting for me, so I don't need to worry about it. So that takes care of the first stage of producing steel that I'm going to need. I can also produce the actual drill itself. So to make treated wood, usually you take a bucket of creosote with some kind of wood plank around it, and then you can make, it just converts all 8 of those into 8 treated wood planks. Yeah, okay, I don't think that that's going to work, so I am going to have to either use a bucket or a different tank. We'll try one of the mechanism ones, see if it actually will take some of it. It did. That worked just fine. I've got... well, that only took 1 bucket. Let's take several buckets, and then if I use it here... oh, that does work. Okay, so I think I should be able to do this. At least a few planks. There we go. But what I want to make is an engineer's workbench, so I can even make the drill that I'm ultimately pursuing. And I now have an engineer's workbench, which I think I'm just going to set down here for the moment. 1 steel mining drill head. There we go. Which I don't know if I can enchant this. I'm now very curious. Grab a few lapis, toss it on here. No. Okay. Well, it was worth a try. Next we'll need the mining drill, but that requires heavy engineering block, iron mechanical components, and wooden grips. The iron mechanical component I can make here with just some iron sheets, or at a reduced cost on the engineer's workbench. So let's take a stack of these and toss it on the press over here so that I don't need to worry about these resources in the future. There's the press. And that's going to be 4 of these, just to make one of these, actually a set of 4 of engineering blocks. But I am going to need sheet metal as well, which will also require another 4. Then with that in mind, I can make the 4 heavy engineering blocks that I need. And I think I've got enough that I can actually make the mining drill body. Excellent. Now, this is the actual part that I have to use this for. First, I'm going to put the drill head on there, just to make it the drill itself. But then we're going to do this. Attack increases the attack damage and digging speed of the mining drill, stacks up to 3. And as they stack up to 3, boop, let's put that on there. And it should now do even more damage and speed when using it. But I also want a large tank, which will increase the internal, well, it says tank size of the mining drill, buzzsaw, and chemical thrower. This means it can hold more fuel. And with a single click, I have myself a large tank to add on to this. The lubrication system, which reduces the damage to the mining drill head and buzzsaw blade. That could be really nice, considering I'm going to be using this quite a bit for digging. But that does require plant or seed oil in order to be crafted. Ah, okay, now I see the problem. But for the moment, I think this is pretty good. I mean, I got this little setup over here. Yes, I'm going to be reorganizing this, and it'll probably look a little bit different on the thumbnail. But hey, you know what? You gotta start somewhere. And I have this. Will not work until I have fuel, but I do have plenty of automation going right now so that I can have lots of steel and coal coke being created, as well as creosote and, well, several other things. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and don't be afraid to stop by on Twitch. We stream regularly, as well as over on our Mischief of Mice 2 channel, where we upload our Twitch VODs to on a regular basis. So until next time, folks, I'll see ya.